All right. Admit. And good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're up to. Just want to welcome you to this lesson, this broadcast today. My name is Johnny Williams, and I'm your host here on Motivational Minutes. What we're doing is going through Napoleon Hill's 16 lessons on the law of success. Oh, excuse me. I'm always burping. I'm sorry. I just so um today's lesson is an interesting one because most of what Dr. Hill, I'm still going to play a video for you, but today's video is going to be a transcript of a conversation between Napoleon Hill and Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie was an industrialist in the United States in the early part of the 20th century, who was the pretty much the founder of the steel industry. This is the guy who built literally because of his um, ability to pull together resources and make the most of a situation that he technically really didn't know much about. He became a magnate in the steel industry, and they built bridges, they built skyscrapers, they built. This man was the foundation of the infrastructure that we now call America. America used to be the steel producer of the world. We were the guys, and now today, of course, our industry is in decline, gone. The steel industry in the United States is nothing that it used to be. Well, anyway, so but what I was talking about today's lesson, they don't talk so much about the habit itself. Today's lesson is called the habit of doing more than paid for, and it's not so much that they talk about doing more than you're paid for, which is important. The reason it's important is because it's directly tied to what's called the law of return, the law of commensurate return. Whereas if you put out, you're going to get back more than what you put out. And so bottom line is, if you're putting out resources, talent, work, if you're building something and you're building that something without what most people would consider proper compensation, that you're doing it because you love doing it. That's how this chapter starts out. This chapter starts out defining love and talking about love, because loving what you do is important. If you love what you do, then it's not work. It's something that gives you a fulfillment. It gives you motivation. You want to do it. You don't consider it work because it's something that you enjoy doing. The more you love doing it, the more you're going to do it, the more you're going to demonstrate your commitment to what it is you're building, what work it is that you do. When you approach it with your heart, when you approach it with love, you're going to be incredibly powerful in your position, and others will notice that. People will see that you have this passion and want to compensate you for what you do. I've had experiences in my life where, when given, just recently, with Moringa or with Zija, whenever Zija has made a mistake in either my shipping or in my product or anything, and then the mistakes are rare, they haven't happened very often, but when they do happen, they have always given me more than paid for. They have given me doubled up on product. That, let's say a product was supposed to be shipped and it wasn't shipped. I call, I speak with customer service. I just want my product. That's all. I'm not looking for anything extra. I don't ask for anything extra, but they always send more than what I paid for, which, I mean, for you, well, for me, it speaks volumes on a company's integrity when not only are they acknowledging that they may have made a mistake, but then they compensate you for that mistake with more than you paid for. It's a very empowering, makes you feel good about the company and the people that work for the company. So it's important that you love your job and that in loving your job, you give more than would normally be required of you. In other words, you want to go above and beyond in what you do because it's going to be noticed. And once it's noticed, others will be willing to compensate you for what you do. You don't always want to do things for money. That's just the bottom line. Sometimes in life you'll be faced with a situation, say you've got a job that you love, but you've got finances and you've got obligations and debts that require you to be more, I would say, more in line to try to find another job. But people who love what they do, money doesn't matter. They'll just keep doing it, and eventually, the money comes, the fame comes, the recognition that you have done above and beyond comes. uh, Especially not when you're not looking for it. So now I'm going to put on this conversation today between, um, it's a dialogue. It's a third party, as a matter of fact, that's reading it. But it's this conversation between Andrew Carnegie and Dr. Hill about this habit of doing more than paid for. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to. There we go.
I reached the conclusion that the term doing more than is paid for is somewhat a misnomer, in that it's impossible, in the broader meaning of this term, for one to do more than he is paid for. Is that your understanding, Mr. Carnegie?
I was waiting to see if you would grasp this point without my calling it to your attention. You are correct. All forms of constructive labor are rewarded in one way or another, and in the broader sense, there really is no such possibility as that of doing more than one is paid for. Moreover, I wish to call attention to the great variety of ways in which man is compensated for going the extra mile. Living creatures of a lower order than man, and even man himself, where he lives in the jungle as one of nature's responsibilities, receive nothing from their labor except food and clothing necessary for existence. But man has been elevated to a position of power from which he commands and receives the bounties of the earth in whatever forms and quantities he desires, for he has learned the art of translating thought into material things. Let us state the case this way. Man is the Creator's greatest handiwork and has been given the privilege of self-determination. The very fact that man has control over his own thought power is a profoundly significant fact. It connotes the power of thought to be man's greatest asset. The fact that thought is a man's gateway of voluntary approach to the source of infinite intelligence is definite evidence of its importance. Now, let us see what specific benefits are available to man through his exalted powers of thought and speech, which compensate him for going the extra mile. The more useful of these compensating advantages are these. 1. The habit of going the extra mile gives one the benefit of the law of increasing returns in a variety of ways too numerous to be described here. 2. This habit places one in a position to benefit by the law of compensation, through which no act or deed will or can be expressed without an equivalent response after its own nature. 3. It gives one the benefit of growth through resistance and use, thereby leading to mental development and increased skill in the use of the body. It is a well-known fact that both body and mind attain efficiency and skill through systematic discipline and use, which call for the rendering of service that temporarily is not paid for. 4. The habit develops the important factor of initiative, without which no individual ever rises above mediocrity in any calling. 5. It develops self-reliance, which is likewise an essential in all forms of personal achievement. 6. It enables an individual to profit by the law of contrast, since obviously a majority of the people do not follow the habit of doing more than they are paid for. On the contrary, they endeavor or get by with a minimum amount of service. 7. It helps one to master the habit of drifting aimlessly, thereby checking the habit which stands at the head of the major causes of failure. 8. It definitely aids in development of the habit of definiteness of purpose, which is the first principle of individual achievement. 9. It tends strongly to aid in the development of attractiveness of personality, thereby leading to the means by which one may relate himself to others so as to gain their friendly cooperation. 10. It often gives an individual a preferred position of relationship with others, to which he may become indispensable, thereby fixing his own price on his services. 11. It ensures continuous employment, thereby serving as insurance against want in connection with the necessities of life. 12. It is the greatest of all the known methods by which the man who works for wages may promote himself to higher positions and better wages, and serves as a practical means by which a man may attain the position of ownership of a business or industry. 13. It develops alertness of the imagination, the faculty through which one may create practical plans for the attainment of one's aims and purposes in any calling. 14. It develops a positive mental attitude, which is one of the more important qualities that are essential in all human relationships. 15. It serves to build the confidence of others in one's integrity and general ability, which is an indispensable essential for noteworthy achievement in every calling. 16. Finally, it is a habit which one may adopt and follow on his own initiative, without being under the necessity of asking the permission of anyone to do so. Compare these 16 definite advantages that are available to man in return for doing more than he is paid for, with the one sole benefit, that of acquiring food necessary for existence, that is available to the other creatures of the earth through the same habit, and you will be forced to the conclusion that overwhelmingly the greater number of benefits enjoyed by man serve as adequate compensation for his development and use of this habit. This comparison substantiates your statement that it is an impossibility for one to do more than one is paid for, and for the very obvious reason that in the mere act of doing that which is constructive, one acquires power that can be converted into whatever one desires. This analysis gives greater meaning to Emerson's statement, "Do the thing, and you shall have the power." This is the idea you should emphasize throughout the philosophy of individual achievement. No one who follows this analysis carefully can help discovering the truth that it is impossible for one to do more than one is paid for. The pay consists in the self-discipline and self-development one attains through the rendering of service, as well as in the material effects of the service, in the form of economic compensation.
All right. And so much for that. Thank you, Mr. Carnegie. So, in conclusion, I just want to repeat a few things here from this chapter. And so these are in the words of Napoleon Hill. When a man is engaged in work that he loves, it is no hardship for him to do more work and better work than that for which he is paid. And for this very reason, every man owes it to himself to do his best to find the sort of work he likes best. A man's endurance depends very largely on the extent to which he likes, dislikes, or loves that which he's doing. A man is most efficient and will more quickly and easily succeed when engaged in work that he loves, or work that he performs in behalf of some person whom he loves. Whenever love enters, the quality of work becomes immediately improved. The quantity of work is increased, and there is no increase in the fatigue that accompanies that work. Now, Dr. Hill also states that he has never personally received a promotion in his life that he could not trace directly to recognition that had been gained by rendering more service, better service, than that for which he was being paid. So again, there's some insight into this, that if we work with a heart filled with love, doing work that we love, success just follows naturally. You also, doing work you love, you tend to embrace the other 15 principles upon which the law of success is based. Now, again, we get to the law of increasing returns. That's what it's called. And it's a wonderful thing, because I'm sure a lot of you, I shouldn't say I'm sure, but at least in my case, that when I did more work than what I was paid for, I was always amply rewarded for, either in promotion, bonus, recognition, always. So here's a couple more quotes I want to leave you with, or a couple more verses, and then I'm going to call it a day. We will have reached our limit already. Okay, so there are no lazy men, right? So you may know someone and you may say to yourself, geez, this guy's freaking lazy, or this woman's lazy. There are no lazy men. What may appear to be a lazy man is only an unfortunate person who has not found the work for which he is best suited. So again, you want to try to find work that you love. You want to do something, you want to embrace your passion. You don't want to just get a job for a paycheck, or you'll end up hating it. You'll end up hating the people there, and then your customers will suffer. Your clients will, the people that you are servicing will suffer because of your lack of commitment to your position. All right, in closing, make it your business to render more service, better service than that for which you are paid. And lo, before you realize what has happened, you will find that the world is willingly paying you for more than you do. Okay, so with that, I'm going to close out, and I'm going to say have a wonderful rest of the day, and I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Well, this is the weekend right now. You may be watching this on a replay. Have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful life. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to this time with you again. All right. Bye now.